Hello, hello. This is AZ, the host of Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast, and today is episode 121, where I got to talk to my friend Tyler Barrett. She is an engineer with the Savannah Fire Department and just recently came off of a stint working in their training academy. She's a former athlete, former strength and conditioning coach, and basically a lover of learning. Tyler is a great friend. I am so happy that she had time to sit down with me, and I know you're going to enjoy the episode. Please, please, please rate and review the podcast and share it with someone who will enjoy it. Have a great day. Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Like, say that again. And they're like, I don't know what I said. So I try to keep it to about 45-ish minutes because, you know, we are squirrel brains. Oh my God, I was going to wear that shirt today and I forgot. Damn it.
Well, I didn't know what to wear either because I know it's audio, but I was like, I still have to look, with the part here. So I'm wearing my, Savannah Fire t-shirt.
Well, and the thing is, I would love to do video, but the barrier to entry is just too effing high for me.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, firefighters have squirrel brains, so we try to keep to 45 minutes. Yeah, it's going to be organic conversation. It's going to be awesome. Are you ready to get rolling?
I believe so.
Yay. Listeners, guess what? Super excited today. I'm here with my friend Tyler Barrett from Savannah Fire. Tyler, say hello to the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Hey, listeners. Hey, girl. Hey. Listen, I was trying to figure it out. How did we meet? Was it at Women in Fire 2 years ago, or was it something else?
So officially it was Women in Fire 2 years ago.
Yes.
But not to sound weird, I've been following you for a couple of years before that. I've seen all the research, everything that you're sharing, especially when I got into the fire service. You were one of those role models for me. So I had followed you, and I went down to the Women in Fire conference in Orlando back in 2022, I believe.
Yes.
And one of the girls I met said that, AZ is going to be here. And I was like, oh my God, stop. And then we ended up running into you, and then, a couple conferences later. And I think that's kind of built our friendship and relationship. And then you were just here close to my home in Statesboro last spring. And that was awesome as well.
That was so much fun. Georgia Southern puts on a good event.
They do. I'm hoping they bring that conference to Savannah next year so we can expand a little bit and a little bit more of the Savannah area you'll get to experience and all that. So,
well, I do I'm a forgetful woman, but I have not forgotten. I've been promised your mom's. What did you promise me?
Chicken parm and spaghetti.
Chicken parm and spaghetti. So hard to say. So, I probably will be visiting prior to any further conferences because, truth be told, it sounded pretty fabulous.
It is.
So we've known each other for a number of years, but I was looking at your bio, which is so incredible. And we're going to dig into that. But first, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Like everyone gets to introduce themselves. First questions first. Who is Tyler?
So I am originally from New York. My family moved down to Richmond Hill, Georgia, back when I was in middle school. And talk about a little bit of culture shock coming from New York to South Georgia. But it was awesome. I was an athlete all throughout high school and really just helped me, find my way. So I continued playing basketball in college. And, I had this grand plan. I wanted to teach and be a coach, and basketball was life. And all during that time, I have a brother and a sister, and they were a little bit younger than I am. My mom's a stay-at-home mom. My dad had retired from the police department in New York, and then he got on the fire department down here. So sharing that to preface a little bit of where I'm at. But I went and played college basketball 2 years up in Asheville, North Carolina. And after my sophomore year, got a little homesick. I wanted to come back to Savannah, so I did, and I finished 2 years at Armstrong State University, graduated with my bachelor's, and at that point it was, time to be an adult. So continued my education, and I was working on my master's degree in sports medicine, and I continued to coach at the collegiate level. I was working with women's basketball, and I transitioned a little bit into strength and conditioning, going along with my degree, but also, fitness was a lot. It meant a lot to me. I was very interested. I always wanted to learn how to help people be in better shape, get stronger, faster, etc., including myself. Being a basketball player from middle school to high school, I was not always the fastest or the strongest, but I always found a way to outwork people. And so I took a lot of pride in health and wellness and fitness. And so I continued with my master's degree, was doing strength and conditioning. And then I thought, man, I really want to be a strength coach. So I did that for about 2.5 years. I had an opportunity to do an internship at Wofford College, right in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I was there for 4 months and I loved it. And then there was some parts where I was like, I don't know if this is sustainable, And it's funny looking back on that now, being in the fire service, because there's definitely, parts of it that are like, man, how do you do this efficiently and take care of yourself in the process? But I came back from that internship after working with football, women's basketball, men's basketball, soccer. I mean, I got the whole spectrum of sports up there, and it was great. The head strength coach, Josh Medler, he was incredible, and came back and was like, you know what? I think I want to do something different. And so after talking to my parents and some close friends and things like that, it was military or the fire service, and never really thought about the fire service, which is ironic with my dad, being in the fire service, but started doing my own research and immediately fell in love with it. And I was like, that is a challenge right there. That's something that will take me out of my comfort zone. I know I will have to work for it. And I went through the process. I actually started the fire academy with Savannah Fire in March of 2017, but I was still working on my master's up until May. So I had a little double dipping going on. My professors were completely cooperative, and they were helpful, and hey, do what you have to do for the academy, and then you come in on the weekends or your off days. And so I tag teamed the master's degree and the academy, and actually on our burn night, so we do a burn night for our family to come out during the academy. That was the day I presented and talked about my thesis. So it was quite the day. But I really took that jump, when I came back from that internship, and I've used a lot of the things I learned when I was doing strength and conditioning in the fire service, and I've been able to apply it to recruit school and the peer fitness team that that I'm on, and just life in general. I always say everything's about balance, but you really don't know that until you're up to water trying to keep your head out of it, and you figure it out. So that's pretty much how I ended up here.
I'm just picturing you saying, I want to be a strength coach. And then the reality of it is like, oh, shit.
Listen, there's one thing. I have so much respect for coaches in general. I had some amazing coaches playing basketball, playing really any sport that I was involved in. Strength and conditioning is a different beast. And it's a different beast because that is your life, obviously people have families, they have friends, they have things that they like to do, for themselves. But strength and conditioning is you eat it, you sleep it, you breathe it. And the amazing thing, though, is the impact that it has on athletes. And that was something that I really loved. That was hard for me to go away from. But I felt that when I left strength and conditioning, I could still have that impact on others. And I feel that I do. I believe that I'm doing that just in a different way, but strength and conditioning coaches, everybody that you've had on your show here, 100% respect for them. I don't even know them, but I listened to them for 45 minutes and I'm like, those are the people right there. Those are them.
Well, and strength coaches are such badasses, but man, it is just, think of it this way, listeners. If you're the football coach, like the team coach, you're in charge of that team and those players. But if you're the strength coach, you might be in charge of football, and lacrosse and men's golf. And it's just freaking overwhelming. Oh, well. All right, Tyler, what sets your soul on fire?
I've thought about this question long and hard because there's so many things that get me fired up and motivated and inspired. But I think at the end of the day, what genuinely sets my soul on fire is a challenge. And it doesn't have to be for me. It could be for you. It could be for someone I don't know. If there's a challenge that, someone's working towards, or a goal they want to achieve, it's that process in between that gets me going. You know what I mean? So watching someone or myself, for example, set a goal, whether it's this year, next year, it doesn't matter. But that process in between of having to put the work in and having to stay focused and disciplined, some of these things are a lot easier said than done. It could be a 2-day turnaround. 2 days from now, I have a training run that I know I need to be prepared for. I'm going to go run 10 miles. How am I preparing between now and then, knowing that it's going to be a challenge? It's probably going to be 100 degrees here. You know what I mean? It's going to be humid. It's going to be hot. But the process of overcoming that challenge from the day I know I need to do it until the day it happens is what sets my soul on fire. And that goes for anybody. We have, I do some things with the fire department here where, for example, Camp Ignite, I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but we have a girls firefighting camp, and bringing those kids in on day one and telling them about the ladder climb up until the last day when they do the ladder climb. And then now I'm reading our surveys of how camp went, and all of them are like, oh, next year we want the ladder higher. And some of these kids were like, I'm not doing that ladder climb, but they all did it. And they overcame that, and they felt great about it, and they were motivated, and now they want to do better. And so seeing people pick a challenge, crush it, and then keep building on it and wanting to do more and be better, that's what sets my soul on fire.
Amen, sister. Me too. How are you changing the world?
I'd like to say one day at a time, through my actions and engagements and interactions with others. But I think it's even smaller than that. I think it's one moment at a time. Just an interaction that you have with a stranger, an interaction with you have someone on a scene, a medical call, at the grocery store. I think those little moments are things that people can take, and you may never see these people again, or they might be, one of your best friends. It doesn't matter. But that little moment can make such a big difference for somebody. And I always strive to be that person, intentionally and unintentionally. Sometimes it just happens. But really being able to have a positive impact on people, again, moment by moment. Things aren't going to happen overnight. I mean, 100 years from now, maybe I'll still be here, maybe I won't. But, I want to have that impact on someone that says, hey, do you remember that? You remember that girl, Tyler? She was a firefighter. She played basketball. She did X, Y, and Z. She went out and ran 100 miles because she's crazy. I want people to remember that kind of stuff and, use that as an inspiration. So I think it's one moment at a time, is how I'm changing the world.
I agree with you. And I want to dig into something because, ladies and gentlemen, Tyler is not a big woman. In fact, the pictures that we took together when I was down in Georgia, I'm like, holy shit, I am a monster. Anyway, so Tyler, you would be, say, a point guard, correct? Not a setter. Okay.
Point guard.
Tyler is not a big woman, but she is crushing this career. And so I want to attack this from a couple different standpoints. The first one is you went through recruit school in 2017, if I remember correctly. I want you to tell me about that experience and how you were prepared or were not prepared. Give me all of the details about your recruit school and how you came out successfully from that.
So I think the first step in, again, overcoming any kind of challenge or, signing up for something or signing that contract, it's in that preparation, right? So the preparation is mental and physical. And when I decided I was going to apply for the fire department, especially, seeing my dad in the career, you watch TV shows, you see movies and stuff like that, but that really doesn't do any justice to the job. So when I decided that I was going to apply, the first thing I did was I started looking up CPAP prep videos. Immediately they sent out the schedule for practice sessions, so here in Savannah, Savannah Fire uses the CPAT. Not sure we'll be using that forever, but that's what we use to do your physical agility test to get, or at least to continue on with the process. So first step, preparation. What do I need to do? What are my weak areas? Do I have the strength? Do I have the endurance? Do I have the power? What do I need to do to prepare? So I was watching videos. I went and bought this. It was not very cheap money wise, but it was super cheap material wise. I was a little disappointed. Weight vest, right? Because the stair climb, you're on the stair climber, doing 60 steps a minute for 3 minutes, and you have 75 pounds on your back. So how am I going to prepare for that? I'm going to get my weight vest and I'm going to start moving. So the first thing was that preparation, physically and mentally. Mentally, I think that you can train yourself mentally through the physical training that you do, right? So when it gets hard and you're like, I'm over this, I'm done, I'm tired, that's when you go even harder. That's when you overcome that and say, you know what? No, I'm not done. I think I'm done, but I'm not done. And you keep working. So physically, mentally, started building that preparation. Once the CPAT practices opened up, it was kind of funny because, I was coming out of college, strength and conditioning coach. Like, I have the knowledge. It's not that I didn't know what I needed to do, but let's be honest, a tactical athlete is very different than a sport athlete. There's some similar qualities. I'm not disagreeing there. But a tactical athlete needs to train differently because we don't know when our next fire is. We don't know when we're doing CPR for 45 minutes. We don't know when we're going to have to move a very large person. We don't know that. We just know when we're on duty and when we're supposed to be there. So using my experience and my knowledge as a strength coach, along with being a college athlete, helped me prepare for those CPAT practices. Now, I was very humbled when I went to those CPAT practices because the part that I didn't prepare for was the actual technique of different tasks that you're doing in the CPAT. So, for example, stair climb, no biggie. You're climbing stairs, you have weight. Hose drag, no biggie. You're just rowing in a hose. Ladder throw, again, simple. Dummy drag was a little different, because as an athlete, you're not so much dragging people around on the court. But you do understand the concept of a deadlift and maintaining neutral spine and being able to pull weight and hold weight properly without stopping. The ceiling breach and pull, for whatever reason, that was one of the hardest things, and it's not very difficult. So you have a pike pole and you're pulling down some weight, and you have to do it for X amount of reps, and then you go over to the other side of the prop, and then you're pushing the pike pole up for X amount of reps. And maybe because it was the last task, maybe because I wasn't prepared for gloves to be super slippery, that was the thing that took me, threw a curveball at me. And did I have the strength? Did I have the endurance? Yes, but I just could not figure out how to hold this freaking pike pole. And eventually, after 2 or 3 practices, I got it. And then it was a walk in the park. But those first couple sessions where I wasn't making the time, 10 minutes and 30 seconds, I wasn't making the time. And I was like, this is not good. I'm not going to get on the fire department if I can't pass the test. So overcoming those challenges within the practice sessions, it took a couple tries. But I knew that I had been training appropriately. I knew that mentally I was more motivated than, that middle school kid trying to get on the basketball team for the first time. I wanted it so bad. And so I did everything I needed to do. I continued to prepare. I asked around, I'm always willing to ask questions. I'm not afraid of someone being like, that's a silly question. Like, I don't care. I'm going to ask. If I don't know, I want to know. So I had some of the guys out there on Savannah Fire, like, hey, what's your advice? What's your recommendation? And they're like, well, try this, try that. Boom, got it, done. Got through the CPAT. We have to do a 100-foot ladder climb, which before the fire department, I was terrified of heights. And I'm not saying I love them now, but I'll do them now because my mindset has shifted into what I need to focus on when I'm climbing a ladder, as opposed to I'm 100 feet up in the air and I'm climbing a ladder, and so going through that process, waiting for the conditional offer, getting the offer, and then day 1 of recruit school, I wasn't really sure what to expect because the way that Savannah Fire does it, and I believe it's the way that most recruit schools, run their academies, it's very paramilitary. So they could run you in the ground or really run you in the ground or not. You just don't know what you're expecting for PT. But again, just to reiterate, the preparation from the moment that I decided I wanted to do this, I wanted to be in the fire service up until day one of recruit school, that is what got me through recruit school. Now, I was the shortest one in our class. I was the only female in my recruit class. And I definitely wasn't the weakest, though. I'll tell you that. I was more so middle of the pack, and depending on what we were doing, I was in that upper group. But I definitely had to work twice as hard. And I'll tell you, I could not eat enough. I could not drink enough. I could not hold on the calories. I think I lost like 10 to 12 pounds in recruit school that I didn't have to lose, and I lost that. So, it's just, again, it's all in the preparation. And I think a big part of it is how bad you want it. Because if you want it that bad, you'll make it happen. Given, all factors and things are going your way. But putting in that preparation and making sure you're ready and you know what you're getting into, that was huge in my success getting into the fire service.
So Tyler, when you were looking around for CPAT preparation videos, did you find real good quality things, or was it kind of iffy?
That's a good question. So there was this one guy that I watched a few videos, and it wasn't necessarily, I wouldn't say it was the greatest preparation videos, but I'm definitely going to give him a little bit of credit because the videos he had were very muscle group specific, right? So his CPAT practice videos weren't, let's go grab a pike pole and do these movements, or, let's go grab some tools and do this, do a farmer's carry. He was doing every exercise or every movement that was training the muscle groups needed to be successful for the CPAT. And I don't remember the guy's name. I have shared his videos with a few people. And then of course have come up since I've been on the department. I've come up with my own, our peer fitness team. We've kind of put some stuff together as well. Again, this goes back to the tactical athlete versus the sport athlete, right? We could get real specific on movements and training and what we're doing. But at the end of the day, if you have the endurance, you have the power, you have the strength, and you can move, you're very mobile and flexible and things like that, you can get through a CPAT without training specifically for the CPAT.
I think it all goes back to what I think it's John Wellborn at Power Athlete says, training for the unknown and unknowable.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I'm going to ask you to please put this on your list of things to do. I want to see the TNB CPAT prep video set. She's laughing.
And I'm writing it down too.
She's like, no, thank you. Okay. Back when you went through recruit school, I know things have changed a little bit, but when you went through recruit school, what did your PT look like?
So the two instructors that I had, our cadre, had done numerous classes and excellent instructors, experienced, knowledgeable. And I'll, if we get to it, I could tell you a story about one of them where I had my moment and he kind of helped me. He helped me get through it. Right. Very, very good instructors. One of them had a little bit of experience as far as, fitness and I think maybe personal training, but not tactical strength and conditioning coach. I just recently finished my first stint with training. I was one of the recruit cadre for our academy that we just had. We started back in March, and our recruits just graduated this past Friday. So a couple days ago. So about 6 months, we were doing PT mostly every morning. I want to say burn week, when we do live burns Monday through Friday, that was the only week that we did not do PT because obviously doing those live burns was PT in itself. But what we did was we have a peer fitness team, peer fitness committee. We basically all have the peer fitness certification with the WFI and the IFF. And it's a good certification. We're pushing for a little bit more, hoping to get everybody TSAC soon here. But I'm telling you all that because we met prior to recruit school and we said, okay, we're going to sit down, we're going to program this out. And we took, March through August and we looked at what was going on with training. So the first 14 weeks is fire. The last 6 weeks is EMT. So there's a time and a place where you can push, where you can bring them back, and you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But when it comes to programming, we can't just overload them every single day, you know. So we sat down and we programmed those fire weeks based on what we were doing. We knew the days we can push, we knew the days we couldn't. And the other thing is, I think anybody in the field would know, you have to be flexible. So we had one day where training didn't go as we wanted because, you know, this one did that and that one did this, and we had to do a few other things, or the drill went longer than we planned, or it was 10 degrees hotter than we thought, or whatever the case. Well, then we would gate back, and then the next day we would reevaluate. And we had awesome communication. Our peer fitness members, there's, let's say we had 6 or 7 of us that were actively involved in the recruit school, but we programmed out. You know, we pushed on the days where we knew we could push if they were getting ready to have a break or a weekend or something like that. We did a lot of mobility work as well on one of the days to kind of break it up. We added fitness assessments. We tried to do very, very simple, basic, something that we just came up with, more so to instill structure and organization. We're not, you know, down to the millisecond taking their time, right? Like, we're looking at what they're doing for a mile and a half, and we're comparing it through all of our time points. But we did that as well as an air consumption drill that we are trying to implement on the floor with, you know, our line personnel. But right now, recruit school was the best way to start it, to throw it in there, and then use that to get buy-in with our admin and all that to use it on the floor. So
it sounds like you have a really structured strength and conditioning program going on. Are you giving them education, little bits on nutrition and sleep and all of that good stuff? Tell me what you are teaching them as well.
So I think if you were to ask any of our rookies, right, they're not recruits anymore, they're rookies. Some of them have already had fires in the last 2 days. If you were to ask them anything about what Engineer Barrett told them, their word would be hydrate, 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 hydrate. I think they're tired of hearing me say that, and I love it because I was blue in the face saying it. But, you know, the thing is, until you put on the bunker gear and you're moving around and you're sweating, and now you have to do work and it's hot and it's humid, you really have no idea what it's like to do that unless you're in that gear. You know what I mean? So, you know, I could go out here and go for a run, 20 minutes, I'm sweating, whatever, or I can go put my bunker gear on in my garage and walk around for 15 minutes, and I've already doubled how much water intake or just hydration in general that I need because of the gear, right? The gear makes you hot. That's how it protects you, but it's all part of it. So first couple weeks, we really drove home hydration, nutrition. Every morning for the first couple weeks, we would, when they were in formation, we would go around and say, what did you have for breakfast? What did you eat today? You know, and it was very intense because we had to, you know, some of them didn't know. We had one of our rookies was 20. I mean, he was born in 2004. And I'm just like, it's mind blowing, you know? Like I told you, I'm from New York, 9/11. I lived in New York when 9/11 took place. This kid was born 3 years after that. And, you know, so it's just, you're talking to a group of, you know, 20-year-old up to, I think our oldest was 37. So lots of different experiences, lots of different knowledge, different backgrounds. Some of them think they can go 8-10 hours without a snack or without no, you can't do that. Like this, they would also laugh at me a little bit, but I'm like, this is real life. Like, this isn't, let's dress up and play firefighter and move around and sweat and laugh and joke. Like, no, when you guys leave here, this is real life. Somebody's kid could be in that building, or somebody's, you know, significant other is having a medical issue. Like, you have to be ready to go and ready to work, and staying hydrated and making sure your nutrition is on point. That is all part of the formula. And so we had a couple sessions the first 2 weeks, you know, nutrition, hydration. One of the things that we've talked about pure fitness wise that we want to implement for the next class was spending a little bit more time on movement prep. Of course, we were observing them, you know, every session that we had. a lot of our stuff started with body weight. Like we weren't doing any weighted movements, which is something else we can talk about. But we're observing everything they're doing, how they walk, how they sit, how they breathe, how they do this, how they do that. Because our job as Pure Fitness, right, is to get them into recruit school, see what's going on, see how we can help them be the best version of themselves that they can be physically, mentally, and prepare them to be a firefighter when they hit the floor. And so we did do, a few classes here and there. We talked about sleep, which I know you'd love to hear that. The mental health piece. I mean, there's just this giant umbrella: recovery, mental health, hydration, nutrition. And that's kind of the pillars that we instilled with Pure Fitness, and that we, pushed on them a little bit. But I think you can always do more. I think there's always more that can be done. You have a class. Okay, great. Let's follow up the conversation. What are you doing? What have you changed? Did you learn anything? What are you hearing outside that you think might be true and it's not? So we did all that, and it was pretty good.
I love that you asked them about breakfast. I came in very late to the OSU OKC Training Academy this summer. They only had a couple weeks left. And so that was one of the questions I asked them on my first day there. And the answers were horrifying. So horrifying. 2 monsters. One guy said that was his breakfast. Nice. One guy said biscuits, gravy, bacon, and eggs. And I was like, good on you for eating, but wow, incredible. Right. It's so important to get all of those aspects of health and wellness in with them. TNB, do you have a little bit more time?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, because I got a lot more questions.
I have all day.
So in addition to doing the strength and conditioning and the training for the recruit school, are you also one of the instructors for like the fire and the EMS and all of that stuff? Or is that a separate group of people?
So the way my department does it, we typically hold one new hire recruit class a year. We've recently started bringing on lateral firefighters. So they are separate, right? We have a training division, we have a training chief, we have two training captains that are in training. And one of those captains will oversee that recruit class. And then the other 2 positions that they bring as far as the cadre, those are volunteer positions. So myself and a friend of mine, Dylan Pendia, I got to give him a little shout out here because him and him and the training captain really made this experience of instructing recruit school just incredible. But I'll tell you that in a minute. So the 2 of us volunteered. We signed up for it. We knew it was going to be a 6-month commitment. We both wanted the experience. We have a passion for teaching and instructing. And of course you have to have so many classes under your belt, as far as instructor 1, officer 1, you have to have some backing to say, okay, you're capable of instructing and teaching. But we put in for it and we did that. And also while we had our recruit school going on, we had a 4-week lateral academy that we also assisted with. So we helped, a little bit here and there, but typically one recruit academy or recruit school a year. And then whoever, volunteers or says, hey, I want to do this. And if you get selected, you'll do it. And then they send you back, to the floor when you get done.
Got it. I want to talk about your Ignite project.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because you are also speaking about this at Women in Fire, correct?
I am. Yes.
So let me set the stage though first. I'm going to be presenting. Tyler's going to be presenting. Megan Louts is going to be presenting. And a lot of other people too. But I think it's going to be an incredible, incredible conference. Okay, tell me about Ignite.
Sure. So Camp Ignite, we started back in the summer of 2023. July 2023 was our first camp. And basically Camp Ignite, actually it was at one of the conferences I think that either you and I were at, or maybe I went to, but I heard people, firefighters talking about a girls camp. And I was like, what is that? Because Savannah is a pretty progressive, it's a beautiful city. There's a lot of diversity, a lot of different things to do here. but we pretty much are, maybe I'm a little biased, right? We're the best department in this area. You know what I mean? And I take pride in working for Savannah Fire because of that. You know, when other departments have stuff going on, they call for Savannah Fire. And I take a lot of pride, and it's an honor to be on a department that is called for. You know what I mean? So when I heard all this stuff about a girls camp, I'm like, well, why isn't Savannah doing that? You know? So I brought the idea back, created a proposal on it, and just sent up their proposal to our chief. And I was like, hey, you know, can we have a chat about this? And he was all on board. And at the time, our current fire chief now was one of our assistant chiefs. So our fire chief had left. He went and took another job, and our assistant fire chief was promoted, and he became our fire chief. So like a year or so had gone by, and I hadn't heard anything about it. There was a lot going on with the department. And basically, one year, the goals for the year came out for 2023, and it said Camp Ignite. And it was almost simultaneously, because I'm reading this, and then I get an email from his assistant like, hey, you know, your fire chief would like for you to meet with this committee about, and I was like, wait a minute, what? I was like, yeah, of course, I'm there. So, you know, sign me up. So we ended up having a meeting. And it's funny because it was just about 60 days out from when they wanted to start the camp. And the good thing was that I had this really nice proposal. I grabbed a lot of information from other departments. I reached out to a lot of friends out in Colorado who had already been doing this, down in Florida, Texas. And we already had like a really good layout. It was just kind of plugging in the pieces of what we had and the resources we had. So we met in May, had a couple meetings, got the schedule going, and Camp Ignite. Yeah, we had a 3.5 day camp. Like I said, July 2023, and really the whole point of it was, well, let me say this: it's twofold when you have camps, right? One, it could be genuinely about the campers, and it's a, you know, I hate to call it like a summer camp, but people look at it like, oh, it's just a summer camp. Or you look at it and it's, you know, a recruiting tool. Well, for us, you know, the age group that we had was 14 to 20. It's kind of a large age range there. But when I proposed this camp, I really wanted to drive, you know, the inspiring, the motivating, the team building confidence, the empowerment side that these kids are getting out of camp. And that's exactly what we did. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that we haven't had interest from some of these kids that are old enough, or young adults that are old enough to apply, because we have. But really the root of it is, you know, being able to bring these kids and these girls to our camp to see that firefighting is an option. The fire service is an option for a career, and building them up in that process. Again, allowing them to do things that a lot of them may never get their hands on, especially, you know, dealing with the firefighting tasks and the EMS side of things, and then adding in that empowerment and leadership piece. We bring in guest speakers. We have different activities. These kids are leaving camp with friendships and knowledge and confidence that I don't think you can get anywhere else. Not to mention they're surrounded by really awesome instructors. You know, we do it at our fire training center, so we have pretty much all the tools and resources we need right there. It's really just, it's an awesome thing. The instructors have so much fun. I joke and say that we have more fun than they do. But you know, we had that last year. It was a great success. We had 15 kids. And then this year, between the city and our department, they're like, hey, we want to bump that number up. We had so many kids that applied. But of course, you know, we only had so many spots that we were able to accommodate. And it's a free camp, you know, so I don't think it gets much better than that. But this year we ended up having 22, and it was another 3.5 day camp. I mean, things from, you know, the ladder climb, the confidence course, we go over, you know, water supply, nozzles, truck operations, search and rescue, which is one of my favorite classes, CPR. Last year we did a hands-only CPR class. This year we did the full CPR class. It was 50-50. Some of the kids loved it, but you know, it's a long time to be sitting in a classroom, when especially a lot of them wanted to do hands-on, but you know, they did come out with the CPR card, which is pretty awesome. So that's kind of a general summary of Camp Ignite. I could talk about Camp Ignite for hours, but
I kind of want to come to Camp Ignite. So what is the top age number that you take?
So 14 to 20.
14 to 20.
Yep. But
Okay.
something, and don't quote me on this, but something that we've looked at is possibly bringing in instructors and firefighters and, role models. Yep. Raise your hand up high. People that can come in from other states and other departments to assist, because we've had the feedback we've gotten from not only the city, the kids, the department, and the parents. Talking about those little moments earlier that just kind of make that much of a difference in my life or your life or whoever. These parents that come the last day of camp. So the last day of camp, it's a half a day. We do a team challenge. So they're all, they're in squads throughout camp. We do like a combat team challenge the morning, bring their family, bring their friends, and then we do a cookout and a graduation right after. And, the parents, I had two this year, one in particular that had pulled me aside and was just like, listen, thank you so much. She's like, you don't know how much this means to my daughter, to my family. She lives with 3 brothers. She's thrown around, beat up, and she loves her brothers. Of course, with love, she meant that. But she's like, she came home every single day and talked about what she learned and what she got to do. And the brothers are all like, I want to do that, And again, like just the friendships that came out of it, the confidence that these kids built, the leadership, they learned so many different things. And on top of that, we're not just telling them about the fire service from a firefighter, and or EMT perspective, or EMS rather. We had the city engineer come in with our fire marshal's office. We had a retired battalion chief who was our only female battalion chief that came in and talked to him. We had our DEI, one of our DEI, I don't want to say instructors, but she came in from the city and just did an activity with them that these girls are just, it was just awesome. It was so awesome. So, the parents that really, they get you when they tell you this stuff, and just like they're in tears, and I'm like, okay, stop, you're gonna make me cry. But it's just it means so much hearing how much these kids, for some of these kids, this was the highlight of their summer. They didn't have anything to do this summer. Like, this was the highlight of their summer. And something else that we do with Camp Ignite. So Camp Ignite's in July. The following April, which obviously we've only had 1 year of this, but next April we'll do it again. We call it Camp Reignite. And it's a 1-day reunion class. We bring the kids back from the previous camp, and we do 1 day of the things that we notice were their favorite activity. We let them hang out. We provide lunch every day. But Camp Reignite is let's hit this home and let's prepare you for the next step. So something we did at the last Reignite was it was pretty awesome. We did mock interviews. So some of them are looking for summer jobs, or they're getting ready to go to college or whatever. And I don't know that any of these kids have ever done anything like that. And we give them tips, we give them advice, and we're like, yes, it's firefighting and medical services that we provide, but we want to make sure that they're comfortable and ready and excited and confident in whatever they choose to do next. So
hear me out. I can come teach at Camp Ignite and eat chicken parm.
Yes.
At the same time.
Lots of chicken parm. You might eat that and not be able to teach. I don't know. You can't stop eating it, would you? My mom is an incredible because she's 100% Italian. All of the stuff she makes is homemade, scratch. You'll see. You'll experience it soon enough.
All right. I want to talk about one more thing before we get to dogs, and this is your Honor Mark project. Can you tell us all about it?
I sure can. So, Honor Mark. So the Honor Mark Foundation, we started back in 2017. We are a nonprofit group here in Savannah, and we started Honor Mark when Mark Hummeldorf, he was a Marine veteran, firefighter, paramedic. He was killed in a car accident here in Savannah. Reason why he and his family are so important to me. So his wife was my basketball coach in high school. And so I've known them, I've known Angie, I guess since 2008. And so she was my high school basketball coach. Well, immediately she became a very good friend of mine, a mentor. And she's family, you know what I mean? But her and Mark, immediately, our families bonded. They would come over for holidays. We'd go over there for cookouts. And Mark ended up working for Savannah Fire for about 5 or 6 years before he left to go to Parris Island. So because of his, time with the Marines, he went over there, and he was doing really well. He had just gotten his paramedic certification and whatnot. So he was killed in a car accident. He was on his way to CrossFit. And, we basically just realized, like, people like Mark don't come around very often. His energy, he would walk in a room and light it up with a smile, his laugh. His personality, seeing the things he had been through, which a lot of people probably, they know about Mark, and they knew, he was in Fallujah. Like, he had the full experience of being a Marine. He lost a lot of his brothers over there. Came back, had to get through some stuff personally. Him and his wife, Angie, they have a son, Chase, and Angie was actually pregnant with their daughter, Emerson, when Mark passed. But just hands down, awesome family. Just so much fun to be around, so personable, so loving. They would give anybody the shirt off any one of their backs, the kids included. That's just who those people are. So when Mark passed, I wasn't involved in the setup of it, but I wasn't essentially, I guess, in the position I am the last 5-ish years that I am now. So I jumped in. Hey, what do you guys need? Let's do this. We started with a simple race. We did a little 5K walk run. And we did that in November of 2018. We had about 80 people out there. It was very, very close family friends that came out. It was great. The next year, built it up, a little over 125 people. And then year 3 was where I basically stepped in as like the president or whatever. And I mean, we've taken off. We're going into year 7. Our event, we do an event every November. So now we do a 5K, 10K. You can walk it, you can run it, or you can do a 5K ruck. And so we really try to embrace the first responder, the military community. Obviously, anybody's welcome to do it, and we encourage everybody to come out, hang out. We have a kids run that starts it, and it is like the cutest thing I've ever seen. But we do all this, so all of the money that we raise from the race is donated directly back. 100% of the proceeds are going back to first responder military families in need. Over the last 6 years, we've donated close to $25,000 to different families. I want to say we've helped about 22 families. And we don't really have criteria, right? And I say it like that because we've had families that we've helped because their house burned down, because their spouse or significant other was killed, whether it's line of duty or just an accident, right? Suicide, unfortunately, it's common in our profession, and it sucks, but Honor Mark is there for those families, and we give it all back to those in need. So we've grown tremendously. Like I said, we're going on year 7 now. Our committee is incredible. We have friends and family that knew Mark. We have people that are just kind of on the outside that were like, I want to be a part of this. But you can bet that if there's any kind of event going on, or if they're honoring somebody or trying to help out a family, like Honor Mark is going to do its best to be there and jump in. So we do what we can. And again, it all started to honor and remember him. But if it were him, he'd be like, no, we're honoring and remembering everybody else. So that's what we thrive on, is trying to remember those that are no longer here, do things and keep their memory alive. So that's Honor Mark.
Now I'm all like teary-eyed. Whew. My friend, this is just an observation. You, my friend, have the heart of a lion. Like, you are just larger than life. And I am so grateful for our friendship. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Real quick, a little recap. Is there anything that you wanted to leave as a final sort of a message, or was there something that we should have talked about that I missed?
I mean, we talked about a lot.
I know.
If only we could have recorded our conversation when we met up after the conference. I think that could have been a good, part 1, part 2. But no, I think we talked about a lot of stuff. I think, just kind of in summary, and I don't, it's not about me, right? Like the big picture here is whether you're, a strength coach or you're in the fire service or, you're an accountant or whatever you're doing in life, right? Like go after the things that scare you, go after the things that challenge you, trust the process, enjoy the process. Like that process is really what helps you get through and appreciate the wins and even the losses. The losses are where you learn so much about yourself. I mean, we've sat here and talked about all this stuff and, sure, I've done good. I've done well with the department. I've done well with this, but there's a lot of things in between that, haven't always gone my way or maybe our department's way, but you get people that are like-minded and that want to see everybody succeed and do well and, putting all your brains together and just continuing to fight and keep going. That's how you get stuff done and you make things happen. So.
Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about your crazy running, but I will encourage people to go follow your Instagram so that they can see that chaos. But I want to talk to you. I feel like I don't know the answer to this. Mm-hmm. Dog situation. Tell me, you have 2 dogs. Okay. Tell me all of the details and then send me pictures.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely send you pictures here. So we have 2 dogs. Yep. Stone and Riley, and Stone came first. So one day my husband and we were visiting family in Atlanta. We came home and at the time before my husband and I met, I had a little Chihuahua Min Pin, all of 25 pounds, all of Napoleon syndrome, ready to just fight. He was a lover, but the first impression was he's a fighter, right? So we were waiting on my parents to drop him off. They had him for a couple days and, it's cold and it's rainy and it's just a nasty day. And all of a sudden there's this chocolate lab just roaming the neighborhood. And we're like, well, it's kind of weird. Like, come here, buddy. Like, come on. Came right in the garage and he just sat there and he stared at me. And I'm like, all right, like, let's get him some food. Let's get him some water. He was covered in fleas. He weighed like 35 pounds. You could see his ribs. He had been roaming, he smelled really bad. Poor little guy. He had been through the ringer, it was like this dog had been wandering for God knows how long. So we took him in, tried to go, see if he was chipped or anything. No chips. Nobody was looking for him. We asked everybody in the neighborhood. Nobody knew where he came from. And you would have thought that, this dog just hit the lottery, when he found us, but really I think it's the other way around. He is one of the sweetest dogs. He's attached to my hip. My husband actually had to put them in the bedroom because he's waiting at the stairs for me for when I'm done. He doesn't like to be apart from me, but that's Stone. We think he's about 10. We've had him for 4 years now and just awesome dog. And then Riley, she is a German short-haired pointer retriever mix. Wild, just wild. She's about 3. She's as tall as me when she, does her little stretch and puts her paws on my shoulders. Very just the squirrel, where bird, what, but no, she's awesome. She'll run with me occasionally. She's super sweet. She loves her brother Stone. The 2 of them will just sit there and playfully wrestle with each other for 45 minutes. And it's like, all right, you 2 come up for air. Let's get some water. Let's sit down, but they're awesome dogs. So thankful for both of them. They're like people. this, they're so much like people. I have conversations with them. They look at me like, Mom, what are you saying? But no, they're really, really cool dogs. And Riley, real quick, we actually adopted her. So my brother and his wife, they foster dogs through one of the rescues. And when they found her, she had this thing with her eyes where her eyelids were like inside out, kind of. They were in instead of out. So she couldn't really see. So we kind of joked that once she had the surgery and they got her, up to speed and she's healthy and normal, she can see the world. And now that's why she's absolutely crazy, because she just loves everything that she sees. And she's free spirit. But we adopted her from my brother and his wife. So we try to keep them in the family. My entire family are animal lovers. And yeah, that's Riley and Stone for you.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I almost forgot to tell you. I finally got approved to walk the dogs at the shelter. My first day was yesterday.
I saw some photos.
Oh my God.
That is so awesome.
Okay, so Missy Elliott, let's just talk about Missy Elliott. She is like a power lifter, okay? She does not want to really go for a walk. Give me all the snacks. I will like shake my ass on this walk, but we are not going fast. And I just feel like she would be the greatest dog for someone. So chonky. So chonky. All right, my friend. First off, I'm going to see you in like, what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3, 4, something like that?
3 weeks, I think. Very soon.
Yay. So hugs all around in 3 weeks. Actually, I think your episode's probably going to come out right around that time. So yay. I think with that, we probably, we beat it up pretty good today.
Yeah.
Should we drop the mic?
I think we should drop the mic.
Okay. It's been AZ and TB, and we are officially out.